Where are we going? North.
Welcome to Dungeons and Dragons.
Therapeutic benefit in role-playing games.
Welcome to Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh yeah, baby.
Your presence requested in exchange for treasures.
Red River.
Are we talking one treasure each?
Count that.
Welcome back again, Dungeons and Dragons. Last time we made our preparations after hearing more about what is happening in the family tomb, in particular that an ancestor's statue, which was once arms raised to the sun, has now been gnarled, and we've witnessed a tear coming down as the statue itself appears to be in pain. And so we are going to explore the tomb of this particular ancestor and have made our preparations.
Cool. So we imagine maybe, Shezeran, how many animals do you feel you're taking with you? With the whole crew of like 10 or 15 people?
So I'm Clampjaw's my lead pack animal. And then let's see. I don't know, back at the napkin math, probably like, I would imagine like one pack animal could carry the load of 2 people or something along those lines.
Yep.
So whatever half the number of people is plus Clampjaw.
Perfect. Okay. So if you have a whole group of, let's say 10 of you, then it's you 4, the 3 extra for 7, like the sort of the named NPCs, and then we'll have 3 just full on just porters, right? And 1 or 2 of them can have that grave digging experience. But does that make sense for a group of 10? And so we'll have Clampjaw, which I imagine you're riding. You're not just carrying.
No, I'm gonna ride Clampjaw.
Yeah. Clampjaw's the man. Yeah. So you're on Clampjaw, and then everyone else, can be riding. Maybe the porters are probably walking. Maybe one of the NPCs are walking then. So you folks can have mounts if you would like it. And I think that makes a good size. 10 people, 5 animals, plus Clampjaw, so 6 animals then, heading out of this luxury sort of white marble city.
Would Theravis have seen one of these giant avians before?
If you want to, yeah.
Because I just feel like she would, because she loves her magic, she wants to use it as frequently as possible, knowing that it's normally against the law. When she has excuses to use it, she will. So I feel she will take this opportunity to use the excuse as like, well, we could have eyes in the sky.
Yep. And you're like out of range of the city, like as soon as you get away from the prying eyes.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that's cool. Okay, so if we're gonna for your blood magic switch here, the only issue is if you want to sort of like imprint on an animal, it's gonna cost you, it's gonna be a tax that you sort of like keep with you like a follower, this like imprint, right? So this is a good time then, the way people have set up, the way people have like role played so far then, if we were gonna count that as the first scene then, renown-wise, Adana definitely played. You've got 2 renown easy. Theruvius, the left cast, the student. I would say you have 1 because you really played to your patronage and your blood arts. So you have 1, and then you're going to lose 1 because we're going to say you imprinted on this bird.
That's fair.
And then for our druid research, you will have 2. And for our packmaster then, because you sort of focus on your profession there, you'll have 1. And so you want to use that then to actually shapeshift into as big a bird as you can get into.
Yeah, feasibly.
Perfect. So the way your shapeshift works then, you don't necessarily have to, you're not rolling to succeed, you're rolling for duration. So out of combat, every hit you score is a full day you can be in your animal form. And you'll get 4 aptitudes from the bird. So I'm going to roll randomly for which aptitudes those are.
Okay, then I was going to ask if I could.
Yeah, I'll set them then based on, I'll look in the back and we'll approximate it based on that size of a bird you can get, right?
Right.
So it could be that it could end up sort of like overlapping some ones you're good at. But if you build that relationship up with the bird, eventually we'll let you pick it. Especially if you saw one like today and saw it and said, "Oh, that thing's really whatever," we'd let you do that. But because we're just starting out,
Right, it's like, oh, that's how the wings are shaped. That's why I can't quite get the lift.
okay, so we'll have touch, which is pretty perfect because that's going to be your sight. Labor, cunning, and relate. Okay, so we'll say touch is 6, labor is going to be 3, cunning's going to be 3, and relate's going to be 1. So you
That
have,
makes
if you
sense
want
with how I imagine the transformation happening.
and yeah, well, you can handle that. Okay, so what do these folks see as soon as you get out of sight of the city?
Well, she probably walks out a little ways and probably rolls up the sleeves of her robes a bit and makes several like pinprick incisions along her arms, which then start to kind of pool up and bubble until it looks like she's done making the incisions. Then she starts to chant in a very low tone, and then the pools of blood start to boil a bit, and then it looks like her arms start to kind of ripple as if they were more liquid, and then the blood kind of explodes, reforming. Those closer can hear the bones cracking as they kind of reform into, I'd imagine, hollow bones. I can't imagine that process being terribly pleasant.
Yeah.
So there's probably also a lot of screaming happening on the on the part of her, because it's not a pleasant process.
Did you tell anybody you were going to do this, or did they just see this? They just see you explode into blood on the
Pretty
top
much
of this horse.
Yep. And the blood doesn't seep into the sand because all the rest of the blood, just once after the transformation is done, just kind of pools up the talons of this large bird, and then kind of form into the feathers of of this monstrosity.
Nice. Well, if we
I will
go
just turn to Shazaran and say, "This is how the world ends."
Yeah. I repeat the expression. This is how the world ends.
This is how the world ends.
So if we say you're like a 160-pound gal there, maybe 170 for your, your sort of stout crimson coin, in a bird size, you can get. I mean, that'll give you like a 20-foot wingspan. I mean, you'd just be like a giant eagle, right? So you'd probably still stand about, 4.5 feet just stood up. So yeah, it'll take up my room here. Yeah, for sure. So yeah, you've got lighten to the load on the pet. Yeah, Shazaran. If she would have told me she could do that, we wouldn't have needed this extra horse. Like doing like weight calculations on whatever stuff.
Yeah, I mean, Shazaran's pretty thrilled. We'll find a use for the extra horse. Somehow,
Whoa.
Sure.
I said I would be eyes in the sky. I didn't say I'd carry anything extra.
Fair. And what was it you said, Calvin, earlier about this not being a horror-themed session?
So as my eyes started to bleed.
That's what he had planned.
Yo, how does speaking work while shapeshifted?
I believe it says in the rules that you are now the shape of that animal, with a 3 cunning. I think if we have a high cunning, you can squawk at them, but yeah, you're definitely not able to like magically talk.
Right.
You're fully shapeshifted. So
we just see it happen. We try to ask questions, and it's just like.
It could be like the Nevermore Raven. I can say a few words to kind of communicate a little bit.
Yeah, I like that.
I can't make complex sentences, but I
you can say no.
Watch out.
Right.
Yeah. Warning, danger, no, hungry.
Okay, yeah, that's good. Okay, setting off on the way. we'll definitely want some scouting folks. You very quickly are coming across other people, right? For some of you, even like Adana, you were probably on military campaigns, we imagine, back when, but you don't generally sort of, for funsies, travel outside of where your privilege is on display and respected by everyone, right? You're going to have a little bit of adjusting to do out in some of these other places, but you come across people very quickly. You're still on, even if it's not sort of a main road, it's still what people from the foothills and some of these villages would use to get into the city, right? So you've left it, but you're still on enough of a path no one's worried about like busting wheels on a wagon or throwing a shoe on your animals. And you do find people right away, right? So you're not wilderness. There's small collections. With the maps you have, you know there will be 3 villages, up to 3 villages between you and the tomb, or 3 villages in the region. You can stop at 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, or 3. I mean, you can stop wherever you'd like, but there are 3 villages in the region, and you know where the tomb, the sort of the area of where the tomb is, but the map wouldn't be specific enough. You know, once you're in that half a mile radius, sort of like exactly locating it might still require some further help, right? So we'll let you go and sort of head whatever you want. Imagine you have that map. How does your party want to proceed through? Let's do like a full day of travel. I'll roll for some kind of like if there's a random encounter as well. But what do you want to spend your day on this first travel doing?
I think in terms of moving to the tomb, I would certainly defer, again, just kind of like utilizing the expertise as commanded. I would put the map in the hands of Shezran, who is like a pack leader and scout. So I defer in terms of our travel to her, and I will, if I can have a mount, I would like it just for the sake of keeping higher eyes. I am somewhat disgusted by Theravis's transformation, and I understand that it is an excuse to use the magic. So it's like it's technically okay.
You just hear it's for the good of the state.
Yeah, for the good of the state. So I'm like, all right, like I go along with it, though I am clearly disgusted. Like the transformation itself is like repulsed. But other than that, I will, keep a proud, stoic look, and just whenever Shezran or Wakiota have things to say, then I'll listen at least.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and we should have Theravis there should roll for that shapeshift just to see how many days it can last pre-combat.
That is true, and that's the
in combat. A day would equal a round, right? So this is how many pre-combat, then how many days it can last. In case you want to, go to a village with a giant bird. And you're going for just hits then, small 2-tacks.
And my target was?
It's going to be Thrive Guile, so it's 9.
9. Okay. I have 3, so 3 days.
Cool. So if you do go into combat, then each one of those days counts as a round, right? So like if combat started, you'd have 3 rounds. If you go 2 days and then combat starts on the 3rd, it costs a round.
Gotcha.
Perfect. You have 3 units. You have 3 credits of bird that you can expend as we go. What else are folks? Any rolls you need to make, or again, any just concerns or roleplay too on this first long day of travel with these strangers?
And I think my first hour is kind of figuring out how to fly. because I haven't done that before.
We just watch you flop, and they just keep going.
Yeah. So I probably get left behind quite a while, but I eventually catch up when I get the hang of it. But yeah, never had the opportunity to fly before, so it's not the easiest thing. But just
It's like the meteor blood crash, like on the side of the woods.
So for the first day, I will be making notes and observations about change in life, wildlife, naturally occurring life, those sorts of things. Collecting seeds, nuts, plants. If I can, I would like a gentle, constant breeze to keep seeds like elevated around me to follow us. And just keeping track of how much life there is, what sort of life it is, and starting to feel the messages of the earth and the nature around me as we progress towards our location.
Yeah, if you want to roll a thread stalk for that, and you're like looking for animal or potential like seed or herbaceous or something threads, you can roll a thread stalk for that for sure.
Awesome. And thread stalks under Loom magic, so I'd use the 6 Loom dice.
Yep.
All right.
Oh, actually, I guess I didn't ask you. When you scored those 4 successes in researching, I put that towards your sort of like the research trial that the group is going on to like uncover facts. You could have taken, with 3 of those, you could take an epithet for the region instead, or for that. Well, I guess maybe it wouldn't be the region. I guess it would have been for the tomb or the ancestor themselves.
I don't think I would have taken it for anything except the tomb or I would know about the tomb, but I don't think I would have done research about the surrounding wilderness, unfortunately.
So do you want to keep those hits over there in that pool so you still have 5 successes total? Or do you want me to take out 3 of those and you can learn an epithet for the tomb or the ancestor? Because it would give you an extra Loom die eventually, right?
Eventually, yeah. I would say give me an epithet for the tomb.
Okay, so I'm dropping you guys back down to 2, not 5. And now in your source on your character sheet then, Jonas, you can add for Wakioda, let's see if it's for the tomb. Yeah, so we'll make it of like the tomb complex then, right? And you found out in your research that this particular ancestor is buried at like the grave of Blue Queens. And that's like the particular region to get to. So that's now listed in your source. Okay, cool. Sorry about that, folks. So then now you can do your thread stalk, which will be in touch and cunning?
Yes. So touch and cunning is going to be a 9.
Yep, and you're going for hits here. Every hit, I'm going to give you 100 yards out.
Okay, I got 2 hits, a 3, a 5, and a 3 and a 3.
Okay, so that would give you a 200-yard range out here, and you caught me. You can definitely see a thread of some of these, the more dangerous lizards. It's not a snake, but they're these more dangerous sort of quadruped, like monitor-style lizards, right? Like really sort of like a saggy neck skin sort of lizards, like 12 feet long. And you can see from the threads, and you kind of like, you can recognize by the movement of the thread, based on what they were talking about with the lizards, you kind of like feel it, and you're like, yes, that's the kind of creature that's at the end of this, just 100 yards or so, sort of out where the path turns more into that hot, just like desert rock sort of.
Awesome. I will go to Adana and tell her that your well-trained scouts have missed an oncoming group of lizards.
Well, I was ordered to keep you alive for a reason, I guess, so apparently this is it. And where are these lizards?
So I will give him the exact directions and distance and those sorts of things.
Yeah, you can literally physically see now, like you tangibly, like I guess through your mind's eye, but not, you can, it's not with your heart power, right? You can see like the thread of like where they have sort of come, and like you can see the threads of like the kind of things they eat, and you just noticed by the pattern, like, it must be and you can almost pinpoint it, right? Like 30 yards or 50 yards out that way on the side.
And have they recently eaten?
Let's say no.
No. So I will also say, yeah, they haven't eaten recently, so they are hungry.
And then I'll turn to Shezaran, the Packmaster. How would you advise we approach these animals based on your expertise?
With strength and honor, sir.
Is that like SER?
Yeah. Yeah. I would definitely defer to your prowess in combat. I think it would be a fitting test to prove the moral strength of our party before we travel into more dangerous territories.
I'm roused by this.
That is some deference. I like it.
Yeah.
There's that guile.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and unsheath my greatsword, and order the troops to prepare for combat. That lizards will taste steel this whatever part of the day it is. And I want to be specific about that too, because it's going to be like, I mean that as well, as it's going to be over quick.
Yeah.
Like it's not going to extend into another part of the day. It's like, this is the hour of which these lizards taste steel.
Nice.
Every day, the lizards must taste steel at this hour.
At this hour.
Quick sort of contextual question, Calvin. Are we still inside a village? Is there any way, like, I don't know where we are in the vicinity of other people outside of our party, but given my comment about, party morale, I think it would behoove us to, give a display of combat in front of any other groups that happen to be wandering around, in order to cow them in some capacity, not necessarily to scare them, but to show that we're capable.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, and because, again, you're not in like wilderness, you're like sub-rural, right? Like you're not in like full-on wilderness yet. And so if we say there were people, I did mention there was people, that you've passed on the road already. If we say it's been like 4 hours of travel, you're just, or maybe 5 hours of travel and you're just reaching around noontime. Yeah, if we want to say, even up ahead, then maybe you see some other folks that have sort of stopped in their tracks. And there's definitely enough of them, a small grouping of like 8 to 10 people that they could definitely be witnesses to our glory over yonder. And we'll make them, if they were heading towards the place and just for whatever reason, didn't really trip the trigger of these animals, I don't think is in any way unrealistic, but they're heading then towards you on that side of the road and have sort of pulled over and are probably having their lunch. They put out some awnings to keep themselves from the sun, and they're having a little lunch, maybe playing a card game and smoking, to kind of beat the heat for this part of the day, right? Almost like siesta style, like getting out instead of traveling under like the high heat. And so, yes, you can come across them just up the road.
But yeah, I just want to make my intention known to Adana that this would be a great opportunity.
I'm going to piggyback off that as well. And I'm going to draw a line in the ground and make a point based on my own, that being the wall. They shall not cross this line. And I make that hard line in front of the onlookers, that the lizards shall not cross the line.
So you're basically approaching them and saying, "Hey, folks, like there's some danger in the area. Like everyone, are you like alerting them sort of and like coming in and like pitching a battle type thing right here?"
Yeah, definitely. Like
cool.
I love the idea of witnesses to our glory. So I also want to I know historically that I've been able to hold the line, and that just kind of like, without saying it, like, hey, me as the wall, but like making this display of like, this will not pass, to kind of like trigger it on their own. Be like, maybe, like the wall.
Wait, I think that's the wall. I think he's here.
Yeah. So yeah, draw that line in front of them. Make sure, make it known, and if that in any way, is just incredibly obvious to the lizards or anything, like I'm not like making a point to ride silently or anything.
Right. Yeah. I think what Wakioda saw was that they were they would have found you in a couple beats if you didn't find them. But if you want to stand there and kind of like, draw them out a little bit, better to have a battle here than down in the holes and the crags off the side. So you got me on that one too. Excellent players here. Anyone else? I can get you I think it's a good time then to do a very straightforward combat. But if everyone wants to if you need any prep or something, go for it. I think it'd be great to have them pop out and roll some initiative and just see how it goes.
I just know that my first move is going to be the presence. I don't know if that plays a part in what I'm already doing, or if that would be something I'd roll after.
You'll have to take a turn in combat to do that.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyone else? No? Okay, cool. So we're gonna roll initiative. The way it works is you roll for high numbers. It's the only time in the game you want a high number. We're gonna get the initiative order, and then in reverse order, you declare your range. Right? So we'll say when you make this noise, you kind of pull up the animals. The bird is in flight. The bird has mastered flight by this point, 5 hours in. All of you kind of notice that this is coming right, and you wait. You hear it's very dry rock, right? This is definitely just on the cusp of desert, sort of gravel and things. And then you hear that gravel move, and these huge 20-foot monitor lizards just drop from some high crags down on the road. And they definitely wiggle faster than you'd like for something this big, but they are those big, extra long, kind of crooked fingered monitor style lizards. So they're dark brown, saggy skin, have been just baking in the sun, and finally have enough energy and have absorbed enough heat to kind of get rambunctious, and it's time for day meal. And so they are out with their 4-foot wide head ready to swallow some folks up. So you have whatever you roll plus your touch is connected to an initiative bonus. So add whatever that bonus is when you tell me what you got. The way Early Dark works with enemies is all of the sort of stat blocks are very suggested, because the deal is really about setting up the encounter. The fact that you're fighting them on the road here, they will have different stats than if you fought them out where they were at, where move was would be a higher aptitude, right? And so much like your milieu, where there's 4 things set and 4 things that are in flux, animals and things are the same way. They'll have some fixed ones and then some that aren't. And that's kind of why when Theravis shapeshifted into the bird, there aren't just stats that you borrow from a bird, because the bird doesn't have all of those stats necessarily, right? And so there's always going to be that when you design it as the game master, behind the scenes, you can really design it, leave it a little bit open, fill it in. It's very flexible how you design an encounter, right? Also, there doesn't have to be a stat block for each individual being. If you have 5 people, that could be 1 stat block. If I have 2 lizards, it could be 1 stat block. I'm going to make it 2 separate ones, just because I feel like it right now, right? But you could have made one of them technically a retainer of the other one. I could make one of them a minion of the other one, right? Instead, I'm just going to make them 2 exactly identical stat blocks. Does that make sense? And then if no one says otherwise, please assume this is something that comes up at times too. Most everything has 1 wound. If something has more than 1 wound, I'm going to tell you ahead of time, because it will just look that awesome, right? If you wear something's guard down and do a strike, it's dead, right? If it's something you chop off the giant's arm, you would have known ahead of time that giant had 3 wounds, right? It's not, in the rare instance where I have to do a game mastery surprise, but So consider this, wear the guard down, take it out. I'm going to roll 2 separate initiatives for them. And I get, crap, I get a 2. Oh, and a 10 total. So all of you roll 1d10. You're going for high numbers now. The 0, the ace is an ace, so it counts as a 10. And add up that initiative bonus and tell me what you got here.
I have an 8.
Wait, who had that? Who had the 8?
I did.
Okay.
I had a 6.
Okay.
9.
Okay.
11.
Whoa. And Sharazan, you said 6?
I said 6, yep.
Yeah. Okay. So the way this is going to go now, we have Therovis, the lizard, Adana, Wakioda, Sherazin, other lizard. Is how that's going to go, right? So each of these now in reverse order are going to set their range. I'm setting grapple. So it's kind of like it telegraphs, right? That last lizard that has the bottom initiative is going to set grapple. Sherazin? Sorry, Shezaran?
I'm going to also. I think I'm also going to do. I'm also going to choose grapple.
Wakioda?
I am going to set melee. Right?
Okay. And the way this goes with y'all's weapons, though, just so you know, so you have that sword in reach range. If you are attacking in melee, you're at a -1 penalty. If you're attacking in long, you'd be at -2, right? It's like it goes. I didn't explain that before. It's going to just be a minus penalty for every sort of stretch away from the range you're at. But you've got your thread stuff, and you're trying to keep as far away as possible. So I get you. And then Adana.
So my great sword would be
It's
reach
in
range.
melee.
It would be
It's
melee.
melee.
Okay, so yeah,
Yeah.
I'll set melee.
Yeah, it's a one-step swing type of deal. And then the other lizard is going to set grapple as well. Surprise, surprise. And Theravis.
So Theravis's intent is to try to grab one of the lizards to try to lift it up. So I think she's gonna also do grapple.
You could consider that long melee if you wanted. I mean, if you're like hovering around and they can't, and you want to like come in and like dive bomb and grab, I think you could consider that long or melee as well.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I mean, she wouldn't be in range until the very last second. So
Right, and
I guess maybe then long until the strike.
And remember, you're setting the range they have to be in if they want to approach you. So if you're sort of circling around, you're kind of hanging out in long.
Fair.
And then we're just going to say that your attack doesn't have a penalty for attacking at a closer range, right?
Okay. That's fair. Then long.
Okay. And then each individual or each stat block is going to have a certain amount of rolls per round. These are the sort of actions, the number of rolls you get in one round of combat. All of you have 3, right? There was one thing that popped up. I think actually it's on Theravis there. You can see her cunning is a 2, which is she's the least cunning of the group. But that 2 would have given her a rank of 2, which would have meant she would only have 3 attacks per turn, which means when you roll, you can only make 3 groups. I gave her that little augment, which bumped her right up to get into that group of 4. So I think as far as the team goes, I wanted to keep everyone equal just so we're all sort of on the same page rule-wise. Everybody can make 4 groups. If you roll 9 dice and get all ones, all 1 attacks, you can only use 4 of them. You can only use 4 groups per roll, and you're going to get 3 rolls per round with your big dice. That means those are full 3 actions. Defense, if you want to roll all 9 of your mundane dice, that counts as one of your rolls. Okay, if you're rolling offense or defense using all of your dice in a real turn, engaging your arts and everything, it's going to count as a roll. At any time you want, you can roll your basic guard dice as sort of a half passive defense, and that does not take it doesn't take up a turn. So you all have a guard dice of 4. So anytime you want to just roll 4 dice because you're just trying to kind of mitigate, what a big tack or some penalties they might give you, you can roll 4 dice and it won't cost you an action. Does that make sense then? So you've got 3 actions, offense or defense, and you've got these little freebies where you can roll 4 dice as like a half measure. So I'm going to put next to you all on here 3 little ticks here, and we can put that up on the screen. We have a tracking sheet in Early Dark that's just a really easy table that game masters can fill in real fast for combat. And I'm going to give then, so that's a total of 12 rolls per round that you would have. The enemies, I could balance it out and do sort of like a really calculated encounter design. At the same time, because these enemies are going to have 5 guard dice, as there's kind of like their hit dice or something, their guard dice is going to be 5. I'm kind of okay defending that most of the time anyway, right? So you don't always have to sort of balance it out because they've got 5 dice and a passive defense. So I'm just going to give each of them 3 also. And I've got their block right here. Okay, so Theravis is going to start. The way combat works, you will declare your sort of basic action. It doesn't have to be really detailed yet because you can take multiple turns. Roll up your approach. We say roll to roll. You're going to be rolling for opportunity here. So role play to determine your footing in your roll, and then after you roll, you can kind of determine more what you're doing. But you do have to pick your target right now, right? So you can describe as much or as little as you want to really get that footing in place and get your target in place. If you roll sort of crappy, you have options of just using your side abilities and things like that, not necessarily just running into battle being stupid, right? So, but yeah, give us a description, whatever you want to do. And we as the group will kind of decide what footing you're in. In most cases, it'll be pretty easy. No one's going to try to trick you. There's no benefit to like role playing your bad aptitudes, like to try to like show your weakness, because it's literally what you are apt to do or what you are not apt to do. So don't feel like it's somehow like brave or creative to role play your crappy aptitudes. Like you don't have to worry about that. Just keep it solid. And yeah, do whatever you want.
So I rolled a 40, I believe. It's like
Okay.
the four guard dice plus the 15 base guard.
Yep.
I also rolled 40.
Oh, and then plus my armor. Correct?
No, your armor is just when they're rolling strike against you.
Oh, just against me.
Yep. So yeah, the ground and the armor are separate. It's just your 40-10 plus your thrive bonus. And who is it? Was it Theravis that also had 40?
Yes.
Okay.
I rolled a 38 total
Okay.
for Shezaron.
And Wakioto's got 37.
Wow, you're very consistent. I'm not going to tell you how much a lizard got, but it's less than all of you. And I'm just keeping their stats the same, so I rolled once. Okay, so, sorry, Theravis, you're ready to go.
All right, so I think her first course of action, seeing that the terrain around the area is very rocky in nature, a drop with terminal velocity probably wouldn't do well with the lizard, so she's going to try to pick probably the slower of the two, whichever one's kind of lagging behind as they approach, try to pick it up and just try to fly up to drop it on a big rock.
Okay. What do we think that is? Fight labor? Move labor?
Sounds a little more to me like a move labor than a fight labor,
Okay.
because there's like the element of like the task of picking it up and also like having to like being a sort of inchoate flyer, figuring out how to navigate while doing that.
Well, this is perfect. This is going to teach us a lesson about how to fight as that bird. Because that bird has a labor of 3, which actually is lower than the labor that the character would have otherwise. So I think you're rolling against a target of 4 here.
Yeah.
And I think that's good, though, because, I mean, that's like you in this clunky bird form are kind of like float down a little bit and try to, like, grab it.
Yeah, I haven't tried to fly with anything in my talons yet, so this is really an experiment.
Yeah. And remember, when you actually get an actual attunement with the animal, I made it random this first time because, you didn't really have the attunement to start with, but it was going to be great. So we made it, but you can pick which aptitudes you get when you actually attune to it, right? And you'll pick move, because it'll have a move of like 5, right?
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah. So you're rolling then your mundane dice. You're in an animal form, but you're not necessarily using arcane magics.
Right. So that is 6. So 6 dice versus target of 4. I don't think I'm successful at all.
Well, you just want to build as many attacks of whatever size as you can, right? Even if you only have like little groups of 1, you can get penalties, disrupt footings.
Okay, so I have.
And don't tell me, because I'm going to be arranging mine, and I have to be sneaky and say, okay, is he going to just get a bunch of crap, and so I want to make one big one, or I can. All
right.
Do this here. So, and I'm going to keep these folks pretty basic. I made them like a 5-hit dice type monster type thing. I mean, okay, I got my stuff arranged. Ready?
Yes.
Reveal. I've got 2 hits, 2 little 2 attacks.
I have 3 1-tacks.
Okay, so nothing cancels out, right? Attacks of the same size would cancel. All of this is going to land. We settle strikes usually small to big just to keep it dramatic, but for small things like this, we'll go top down pretty easily. These animals don't have any particular arts to use, so I don't have talents like disarm or pin or something like that. So I'm just doing pure fatigue, right? They do 3 damage per die because that's, next to the fight here, you guys have 1. They have 1 plus their natural weapon, so they're at 3. So I'm going to do 6 fatigue with this little attack here, and I'm going to do 6 fatigue with this little attack here.
Okay.
And what do you want to do with all of your advantages?
I suppose would like grab and then reposition be 2 advantages?
Well, if you want to take range on it, which you already have, so you don't need to worry about that. You can see on the bottom right-hand corner of the character sheet, list out the advantages. You can disrupt its footing. I rolled in fight move. You can say it can't roll in fight move on the next turn. You can do any simple action you want, which would be, like moving weapons around in your pack or making command or giving someone a heal potion or something. You can give it just a -1 momentary penalty. Say you have a minus die on your next turn. You can take range, which you don't need because you have it. Or you can overcome a durable penalty. If I gave you a penalty that you kept until you got rid of, it takes an advantage to get rid of that penalty.
Okay, I suppose disrupt its footing.
Yeah.
So I hopefully can try to reposition it.
I like that. And then you have 2 more, right? You got 3 of those.
Oh, you're right. So would a simple action then be moving the lizard?
What would be, is the mechanical result of moving it just giving it a penalty and making it easier to hit from somebody? Because to pick it up and kind of toss it would be considered maybe that -1 momentary, right? In the narrative, you can just throw it, give it 2 momentary penalties and a disrupt footing. That could be the mechanical consequence of you grabbing it sort of biting at you, and then you tossing it.
Okay, I like that. Yeah, that works.
Does that make sense for everyone then? So Therabus had 3 of those small advantages, and it was just a matter of kind of making the narrative fit that disrupt footing, and then 2 of those -1 penalties. And next turn, and that's going to count as one of your actions, not one of the lizards, since I just used my base, base hit dice in defense. So this lizard then is going to attack. I'll say it lands on its back, and so it's going to kind of flop up and try to whip you with its tail, like just the moment after you, as you're sort of like coasting by, sort of thing, right? So the problem here is this, it wants to be in grapple. It's got the lizard itself is kind of big, so it can fit between grapple and reach. The fact that you're technically in long is going to give it a -2 penalty, right? You're 2 ranges outside of its range, and you already gave it a -2 penalty. Jerk. So I'm only going to be rolling then 3 dice. So it's at -4 right now. So instead of just for its full action, it has 7 mundane dice. I'm only rolling 3. And really, it could be kind of stupid to do this, but it has to get rid of that -2 momentary somehow. Like it can't take a turn without it. You can't wait and let it go away. So I'm going to sort of return fire back at you, Therabus.
Yeah, and I feel that's also like animalistic nature as well. Lashing out at the thing that just attacked it.
Mm-hmm. So you can roll defense however you like. Describe your maneuver, your move. Maybe try to hit at something with some higher.
I guess she's just gonna try to dodge out of the way. I guess she's gonna try to do a barrel roll for all intents
Okay.
and purposes, to try to not get hit by its
Cool.
tail lashing out.
And are you going to expend a full action to get your full 6 dice, or are you fine just rolling 4 and not using up one of your actions?
I think she's fine with rolling just 4 with the position that the this lizard's in at the moment.
Cool. So let's see, a barrel roll. We're thinking that's going to be maybe fight move.
That's fair.
Okay. So you're rolling against 5, 6 dice against 5. Or 6 into 5, as we say on the hip side.
I have 1 stack.
Okay. I have 1 stack of 3.
1 stack of 2.
Okay, cool. So those are both going to hit. I'm again going to do fatigue with mine. So I'm going to do 9 more fatigue to you. And what do you want to do with your 2 tech there? Now you can just do straight fatigue, which would be 1 per die.
I think I'll go with the fatigue.
Okay. And again, once you get attuned to your animal, you'll probably have natural weapons that it would probably get up to a 3 also, but
Right.
in this case we'll do 2 there.
The learning experience.
Yeah. Well, I just liked the idea of you shapeshifting, so we gave you like a half useful attunement to start with.
No, I'm down with that.
Yeah. Okay. Next in line is Adana.
Okay, so I would like to use my presence, both to not allow the advantages against me, but also I would like to get the attention of the creatures as to fulfill my role of keeping the other 2 alive. So kind of jump down off the horse and take my great sword that I already had and just kind of wildly swing it across the ground. This very showy flourishes.
Like swishing.
Just to, yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna check out and just see if you go by hits or difficulty. It says presence rolls as a direct bow. So that means then that the lizard defense, I'll let you roll against both of them since they're both equally here. But they're gonna roll in the same footing to defend. That's what that direct means. So they have to roll their relate labor also.
Okay. So it's where I do have that augment checked. Is this the scenario where I could treat the labor as a 4?
No, your labor is already treated as a 4 as far as establishing your ground goes. So that augment has changed your rank in that rank column from a 3 to a 4, and that gets you an extra 1 ground, which gives you higher ground and a higher carrying capacity. Yeah, it's
okay. But for the sake of rolling,
it's always
this
going to be
check
3.
then,
All rolling, always, it's always going to be 3. That augment only affects the secondary characteristics.
Okay.
And these folks are going to roll their base. I'm not going to expend an action to defend against this. They're animals anyway. I think it makes sense. So I'm going to be rolling 5 dice, which is their base guard dice, against a target of 5. Their relate labor. And so, all you have to do is get a primary attack that hits. So you want a 3 attack that lands. Yeah, I'm terrible at poker. That's my
Okay, so we reveal simultaneously
Yes.
when we're ready.
I have a 3 attack with 1, but you may have higher, and I have a 2 attack with 1.
Okay, so I have a 3 attack with 1-1-1-3.
Okay. And do you have any hits on the side? Because that can affect the duration.
Oh, okay. Then, nope, I don't.
Okay. Well, then you're going to land that on one of them, and it's going to last the full round. I think it says it for the duration of your influence. Oh, yeah, against you in or out of combat. Yeah, perfect. So for the rest of this whole round here, then, they cannot use advantages against you. So that's another 2 rolls of yours, and then up to another 5 or 6 rolls of theirs.
Excellent.
Just the one. Which lizard do you want to be affected then? I didn't differentiate my hand. I'll let you pick. The one that's fighting Theravist or the other lizard?
The other one.
Okay, perfect. And then we have Wakioda.
Okay. So I'm going to be doing. Well, I guess I want to use my Loom magic to set up some difficulties. So if we have rocky terrain, for instance, I would like to use those rocks against the lizards in a provoke nature,
Nice.
a touch style. So kind of catapult them out of their little like hills that they're bedded into, just onto lizards.
Yeah. So you're doing an indirect attack. So you're going to roll. It's going to look like a fight because when you roll, whatever the size you get is the size that goes against them. You can do up to a load of 12. These are literally crag-like rocks. I think you've got a load of 12. That means you can do 12 fatigue per die if you hit.
Okay.
Right?
Okay, perfect. And I'm using my Loom dice for that. I would assume since it's Loom magic.
Yep.
Do I get?
And we're
any
not close
additional
enough. No, I don't think we're
No.
close enough to that. We still got to get. You've got another 3 days of journeying before you get to the region of the Blue Queens. So.
Okay, perfect. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So,
And they have to use, because it's provoke nature, they're actually dodging the rocks, not you, so they can use their mundane dice in defense.
Yeah.
When you use that unravel, they have to use their loom dice to defend. But for provoke, yeah, they're normal.
1, 2, 3, 6. Okay. Oh, that is not going to be good. And then this is touch cutting.
And do you want to attack which one do you want to attack? The one that's kind of got flipped on its belly, or the one that?
The one that got flipped on its belly. Yeah, I'm going to focus fire with the rest of the compatriots.
So I'm going to say, I guess I was thinking, just for me, basic dodging is like fight move, is like my go-to, just basic dodge.
Yep.
So I'm rolling against 8.
So
ready?
I got a 2. Yeah.
Okay. You little brat. You made the biggest attack you could get was just a 2.
Yeah.
I got a 3 and a 1, so you still get to do damage, huge damage with that little attack.
Oh man. Okay.
Okay, that's good. So let's go. Let's have that effect first, I guess, right? So your rocks sort of crumble on them. And I gave you a load of 12, so that's gonna deal the damage to them. So that's 24. Oh, and the rule with an indirect attack is it has to be something that can't happen multiple times. If you're going to pick up a rock and throw it at them, that's not really an indirect attack because you can't just like pick up another rock and throw it. That's actually just you attacking with a rock. Indirect attacks are things I always picture in Conan when he like knocks over the human soup on the thing. It's like, it's like a disruptive type, like pull the tent down on people. So I think this is kind of a perfect, like you like collapse these crags, or like one of these like, desert style stone things kind of crumbles down on him. You wouldn't be able to be like, let's do that again next turn, sort of it, right?
Right.
But that's great. That's awesome. It's a huge hit. 24 fatigue. Huge hit. It's down a lot. I'm going to take this. I'll say this little advantage here. I'm going to do this lizard you already have range on. No, this lizard already has range on you, so it's fine. I'll just do the -1 momentary penalty.
Okay.
So whenever your next roll is, whether you do an action or a guard dice, your basic thing, it's going to be at -1 die. And with my 3 here, it's going to do damage. So I'll do 3. So it's going to do 9 fatigue to you. So let's say then that thing, it sort of jumps out of the way as much as it can, and it gets, hit by all these rocks. When it like shakes free, it technically has range on you, which means it can get up to that grapple, right? So it's just going to like grab onto your leg. It's big enough to kind of just shake you around, and it does end up doing 9 fatigue, just kind of shaking you. So you're down 28. And then I'm going to take off one of your rolls, but not one of its rolls, because I just used the 5 dice there. Shazaran?
Yeah, so I witness my master in danger, and I want to help him in any way I can. So I'm going to try something a little more complex. I'll just see how it plays out, because I have no idea, for the edification of myself and the viewers. If there are any craggy outcroppings near where Wakioda is sort of engaging with this lizard, I'd like to clamber up the rocks and then dive on top of the lizard in order to try to like grapple it away from my master and or give it a lot of little stabs with my dagger.
Yeah, that's great. And you're fine with it. You have no penalties. It sets range on you, but it sets grapple range. And so you're very happy with that. What do we want to think then? So this is going to be a direct attack. Do we think this is I can almost imagine like a move thrive, the idea of the exertion of like climbing up a mountain, to me.
Yeah.
If you want to do, I guess that's the footing for clamber too.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So yeah, let's do thrive move for that. So set a 7 as a target.
Yep. And I'm just going to be rolling my 5 dice.
Cool. And I roll my 9 as normal.
Yep.
Okay. Any bonuses or penalties to this roll at all for me?
No, because it's setting grapple range. You have a dagger, so you can use grapple range just fine. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And now I'm trying to set different attacks.
Yep. Group them. So this lizard only has 10. It only has a number of guard left. The game master will tell you when it's grounded. You'll know when something is grounded. It's not yet grounded. So you might be in your head thinking, okay, it took 24 and it took 2 damage before that. It's taken 26 fatigue so far. You might be thinking you can come in with a strike roll and kill it, or you might keep wanting to wear it down until the game master says it is grounded. And then it's at whatever the size of that creature would set. Does that sort of make sense, right? Like
a little bit.
But I'm okay saying it has 10. This is the first fight,
yeah.
So that's just for you to inform, do you want to do more fatigue, or do you want to try to make a bigger attack and strike? That's kind of the strategy you'll be thinking of.
Yeah. So I have this creative touch thing. It says deal 1d10 fatigue on trail per bout.
It's on the trail or in a bout, so you can actually leave booby traps on the trail behind you. This means here, if you get an attack of 2 dice, instead of doing 2, I guess with your dagger, instead of doing your human damage per die, which would only be 2, you get to roll a full d10 for that. And that's you using the environment against your enemy. So that's exactly, you want to get 2 attacks then. That's the most efficient way for you to deal fatigue in clamber. And it kind of means that your character is good. You kind of don't need as many weapons, right? That's a great way for you to deal fatigue to an enemy.
Right. So I guess so I get all of this so far. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing with my dice. Like, how am I supposed to be grouping my dice right now?
Sure. So you rolled 9 dice, and you rolled in thrive move, which is a target of 7. You want to put as many groups as you can under 7.
Got it.
So if you've got a 5 and a 2, that's one group. If you have a 5, a 1, and a 1, you can fit 3 into that 7. And you can make up to 4 different groupings. If you've got a little guy left over, that's an advantage. That's on the side. That's great. But attacks of the same size are going to cancel out. So I'm, of course, afraid of your 2 attacks. So I'm gonna be making sort of defensive 2s,
I see now.
right?
Okay,
Because
it's
I'm
starting
afraid
to
of
click
you
a little.
landing one of those.
Right.
So you might be like, well, haha, I have a 4. Like, yeah, and that's why whoever, and remember, aces, zeros are 0.
And aces are 0 in this. Okay.
That's always the hardest spot because you kind of think which tack you can put it anywhere.
Yeah. And 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. What's the other number here? Oh. Okay, so I have. Oh, okay. I think I'm ready to resolve.
Cool. What do you got? Show me your stacks.
So I have 4 2-tacks and a 1-tack.
Okay, you can, because of your cunning, you're limited to 4 stacks in 1 turn.
Okay.
I think all of you share that. So do you want the 4 2s?
Yeah, I'll do the 4 2s.
Okay, great. So I have 1 2 and 1 advantage. So one of those 2 tacks is going to cancel out for both of us.
Okay.
So you're going to land 3 of them. You lucky duck. And I'm going to land that advantage on you. Okay? So what do you want to do with your first hit?
Oh god. Oh god.
You can roll 1d10 fatigue. Might be. I mean, that's what you said.
Yeah, that's what I was. That's kind of what I was leaning toward. Let me do that.
Yep.
I'll just roll. That's 4.
Okay, it is grounded.
Great.
And it's not. So it had 10. It's going to go down to 8. Its ground is 8. So you climb. You jump on that thing, and you knock the wind out of it, and it's just on the ground. The slight issue we've stumbled upon, though, is that you cannot strike with those 2 blocks because you weren't in your fight move footing up here.
Sure.
Right? You didn't use your skill blade arts. So your character, I don't know what else you can use those additional 2 tacks for. You grounded the beast, so you're probably happy anyway.
I grounded the beast. Can I? Can I soothe it so it becomes another retainer for our team?
Ooh. Let's say you put those 2 tacks towards a trial for soothing the animal, right? Like if we had a trial where we were keeping track of your hits, you've got 2 more towards that trial already. It's almost too reasonable. Yeah, sure. Yeah, you literally land on it, squash it, and just start.
Yeah, just.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just start whispering sweet nothings in
Exactly.
his ear.
Dang. Yeah, cool, great. Okay, let's say if you can take out the other lizard in this same round, so that this one doesn't get skittish. If you take out the other lizard in this round, you can keep that one.
All right, guys, batter up.
So you've got 2 trials towards that, and I'll actually say, or 2 hits, I'll say that's done. You're safe. With my little 1 advantage here, though, I am going to, I guess I'll disrupt footing. So I'm not going to let you roll and thrive move on your next turn. And that's going to be over here. Right? So you couldn't do that again on your next turn. Not that you need to. So the last turn of this go through, right? The round is going to be all of these particular rolls. The last go through the initiative is the other lizard. This is a lizard that is scared of Adana. So it's got its tail. It's kind of like, maybe it's got almost like a rattle. Let's give it like a rattle tail, right? This large like megafauna old school lizard. So it's like rattling its tail, and you're like swishing your sword in the dust. I think it's gonna go for Wakiota. Wakiota is kind of standing there and using the magic, right? You've been sort of pulling, and that fell on its buddy. So I think it's gonna consider, and its buddy already got you in the leg and shook. So I think this one's gonna do that too. Now you've got range on him. You've set melee, so I'm at -2, but I think that's the most reasonable thing for the beast to do, right? So this animal is last in the order. Everyone can set whatever range they want on it. Wakiota set melee. So I'm at -2. I'm rolling my full attack, which is 7. So 7 - 2, I'm rolling 5 dice. And this one doesn't have any penalties against it other than the presence for Adana. So I'm going to roll on the best thing I got is going to be my fight move. So I'm rolling against 8, right? So 5 dice against 8. And based on the look on my face, you can decide if you want to roll your full mundane dice to defend, or I guess you can use your unravel too, right?
So my option, what if I don't roll the full 8? What do I roll?
You would roll your guard dice, which is 4.
Which is 4.
So yeah, every human character that starts, it's kind of tucked away over there. Sorry, but it's over by your guard. That's kind of like your freebie. As you take wounds, your guard dice are going to shrink. But once you take a wound, your guard dice goes down to 3, and so you get 3 freebie dice and 3 dice for your guard. Right now, you're like you're a 4 hit dice character, so you get 4 dice for free.
Okay, and what is the number that I have to beat with those 4?
It depends on what you want to do. If you want to fight move, it'd be 5. If you want to use your unravel and use your loom dice, you could do it in touch fight, right? You can kind of do whatever you want. You get a free turn. If you want to roll a turn, you can do whatever you want.
Okay.
So you just sort of role play up and give us the footing you're in.
Okay, yeah. All right. So I think if this creature is coming at me, I think what I would do is do the unravel and try to unravel it as it approaches. I think this is what I would do. Yeah. Okay.
And that works in grapple to melee, and you set yourself in melee, so you're good.
Okay. And I need to get touch fighting.
Yep.
8.
So you're rolling your 6 dice. You're going to use your loom dice.
Yes.
And you're rolling against fight and touch. So you're rolling against 8.
And I get to group them however I want, or am I just looking for 2 dice hits?
However you want. You want to you're in full combat. So I'm rolling. I've got a few stacks here that I'm going to try to hit you with. Now for unravel though, what you're doing here, only your hits are going to deal that 5 shock, right? So I know that you want a bunch of hits.
Right.
Right? That's because that's going to do that shock to me. So I can either go for hits also, or I can intentionally avoid them and do whatever I want on you, but you'll still get those hits on me. And that's kind of like the way Early Dark works with your guard, like as you've probably seen, right? You roll it before every encounter. So like it's okay when it goes on. It's going to pop right back up the next time you fight, right? It's the guard isn't what's hard. That shock is what's like, the annoying lasting damage, right? Wounds and shock are worse than suffering fatigue.
Yeah. Gotcha. Okay, so I have separated them accordingly. Right.
Cool.
I'm ready to.
I've got a 3 tack and 2 little advantages.
And I've got 2 tacks.
Okay. Well, we have a smorgasbord of pain here. You're going to do, I imagine you're just going to do that 10 shock to me then, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
So if you kill it in the first hit, it's fine. Like that shock won't even come into play. If you don't and it re-rolls guard, it's going to start way, way lower, which is what the shock is for. I am going to take range on you with one of these advantages. I'm going to give you a -1 penalty with the other one. So let me write that by your character, -1 on whatever your next roll is. You're in a -1 die, and then I can't do your a strike yet. So I'm going to do then another 9 fatigue. With that. So let's say that first one kind of grabs you, the second one then just comes up from behind and grabs you, but you're able to like thread, part of its flesh off or something, and it scurries back. So that's one way through the list. We're still in the same round though. It's going to go right back to Theravis. Everything here, actually, Wakioda had 2 rolls, right? You've rolled once on your turn, and then that defense with your loom used up one of your turns. Everyone else has only rolled once.
So yeah, I suppose if we're just trying to to eliminate the one that the soothsayer isn't currently mounted on. She would probably just kind of beeline for the other lizard and just kind of assault it in a fury of beaks and talons.
Cool. What's the footing on that?
Probably fight and move, having to kind of dive bomb back into to melee range, and then fight to do the attacking.
Cool. So you're rolling your 6 mundane dice against a target of 5?
Yes.
And I'm going to roll 5 because I don't want to waste a good attack turn I might have. Oh.
Okay.
Okay. I have a 5 tack.
I have two tacks.
Okay. Well, you do your 2s first then. What do you want to do with those hits?
I suppose fatigue damage to whittle it down.
Yep. And so we're still giving you just 1, again, because of the new bird, right? We're giving you 1 each, so that's going to be a total of 4 fatigue on this guy. Yep. And then now with a strike then, I'm going to roll these 5. And I'm going to try to beat 19. And if I can roll 38, I'm going to do 2 wounds to you. Wait, do you have any armor? Wait, you have armor.
I have armor of 2.
2. Okay, so I'm rolling against, so right now this threshold is 21. I have 13, 16, 19, 22. So I get 1 wound against you.
Okay.
With that, and you're going to be able to re-roll your guard though. Okay. So narrative-wise, then you go and pounce on this thing, and maybe you get your claws in it, like it's really, but it's like thick skin, so it doesn't really hurt it, type deal. Yep. And then when you go to sort of like lift it up, its neck is long enough that it can just kind of bite, just like straight in the throat, and you all kind of drop down in a puff cloud of the dust, right? And you're kind of like bleeding out from your throat.
Yep. So
we're gonna cross off 1 wound on you, but you can re-roll your guard. Right, that your that position of yours has been taken advantage of, and so you're back. Okay, and now the first lizard is out, so it's not making any more rolls. Poor guy is getting soothed. We're in Adana. What do you want to do?
I am going to just step forward and take a massive swing. My hacking blade.
Dig it. So we imagine then your footing is going to be fight labor, because it's a big, heavy sword, right? Anytime you're kind of like using your art and it's obvious, we kind of know you're in that footing. Go right ahead. You've got 9 mundane dice against a target of
8.
And this, you're fighting against the lizard that is the bottom of the list, so your range of melee is fully in place, no penalties there. You don't have any penalties. I'm only gonna roll my 5 because I don't want to waste my dice before I get to my turn, right? I've only got 1 roll left. But I can't use advantages. I can't use 1 tax against you.
Right.
Okay. I love rolling these dice when I get a bunch of aces because I've got my company logo on the aces. So, am I bluffing or not? I don't know.
Okay. I believe I am good with my calculations here.
Okay. I've got a 3 and a 2.
I've got 2 2s and a 4.
Wow. Okay. So the 2s cancel out. So you've got a 2 and a 4, and I've got a 3.
Okay.
So, yeah, what do you want to do with it? Usually for strikes, we would settle low to high. I'm not striking you, so let's just go high to low. So what do you want to do with your 4?
So with the 4, I can apply. So fatigue wise, with my with my load of being 4 per die, then that would be 16 fatigue off that.
Yep, because you get no, you'd actually get 20 because anytime you're using a weapon, the load bonus is like a bonus on your fatigue.
Okay. So 20.
Okey-doke. And then high to low. So I've got my 3 in here. They're going to do fatigue also, so I'll do 9 fatigue to you.
Okay.
And there's no armor or anything necessary. Fatigue doesn't, account for that. And then you've got your 2 tech.
And with that, then I think it just makes the most sense to just apply more fatigue, right? For trying is to take it down as quickly as possible.
Yep, perfect. All right. Wakiota's turn.
Okay. I think now that I've been attacked by this foul creature, I'm just going to take my sword to it and go for an attack that way.
Cool. So I imagine it's been, picked at by the bird. It's kind of got blood on its mouth and stuff. It just takes this huge hit. Or maybe your head was so big, it maybe didn't cut through it since you just did fatigue, but it forced it to sort of scurry into a corner against the rock. And then we've got Wakiota can make the most of it.
For us to communicate with each other mid-combat, what does that require?
I would say plans and yells are totally fine. I don't think combat should be 15 seconds per round. I think it should be part of the narrative and part of the story. So I say feel free to do whatever you want. If you are giving something more than an instruction or a plan or something, maybe it would require a simple action. But yeah, please feel free to, table talk and give your commands and tell them, help me get closer to it or something, right? You can, feel free to strategize as much as you want.
Okay, so I'm just going to shout, "Finish it, Wakiota. Show our might."
He's been counting its fatigue and knows how low it is.
Okay. So it's going to be mundane, and I'm looking for cunning fight. Is that correct?
Ooh, yeah, if you want to. I mean, you can do whatever you want.
Killing
right?
blows, that takes a little bit of cunning to it. I
like that. That's a good idea. You're going to be at -1 die because of that penalty it gave you.
That's right.
So you'll be rolling 7 dice against your cunning against 7. 7 against 7.
Okay.
I did discover something here too. I think on one of those attacks I gave it 4. It's limited to 3, so I may have gotten a little advantage off on one of you before. So just it can only make 3 little stacks.
Oh, right. I have my arrangements.
Cool. I've got a hit and 2 little advantages.
Okay, I have 1 3 stack and 2 1 stacks.
Okay, so all those advantages cancel out. I've got my 2 and you've got your 3. Like I said, we'd usually do strikes from low to high, but then we do everything else from high to low. It's just, it's not a rule. It's just narrative. It sounds cooler when you sort of do it that way. So I think you might be able to take it out before I get a chance to use my 2 block, if you can.
Okay.
So with a 3, you can roll a strike. You're going to roll up those 3 dice, and you're going to add the balance of a weapon, which
I got a 4 on that sword, according to my sheet.
Right. I'm just trying to think here, but you technically set melee range. So if you want to use that sword, you would have been at another -1 die.
Oh,
Because you set
correct.
melee range on yourself. So that sword is only going to come into play if you've equipped your sort of reach range with it.
Okay. So we're looking at my bare hands then? Is that my
Yeah,
other
well,
option?
you can use your sword. You're just not going to get its bonuses. I mean, you can still say narrative-wise it's your sword, but that weapon is equipped sort of, you're holding it at the stance of a reach range.
Okay. So I don't add the balance, it would just be the damage die.
Yep.
Then I'm
So you're gonna grab that stack and you're gonna roll it. You're going for a full strike here.
Okay. I got an 8, a 7, and a 2, and then if I add 1 to each, that's a total of 20.
It is dead. You will add, if you rolled 8, 7, and 2, you've got 17. Almost could have done 2 full wounds to it. It's dead.
Okay. Whew.
Yeah. So I guess you do let's say the fatigue it took from Adana was that it scurried up against a wall, sort of, right? So it, lost a lot of that position. And what's your coup de grace here?
I think I'm just going to, as it's like curled up, I'm just going to come in and just stab it right in its underbelly. And then if possible, I'd like to loom up some decomposing insects and things to begin immediately eating it. Yeah.
Wow,
And
yeah.
I want to make sure I'm holding the other lizard's head toward it so it sees the whole thing.
Goodness. With us. Okay. Yeah, I like that. That's good. You guys all did that with multiple rolls left to spare too, right? So, yeah, good combat. Again, there's no experience points divvied up after combat. It's going to be based on, alignments per scene. You guys can, feel free to role play. We can do rolls and keep going on until we want to move on further down the road. Once we move on further down the road, I'll consider that the next scene. But if you want to do stuff with the villagers, if you want to, you can do whatever you want, right? I don't want to be anticlimactic, but you still got this lizard here to rope with. So feel free to continue going, right? The DM doesn't just stop you and say curtain or anything. So yeah, so that one bleeds out, and then all these maybe scorpion size or big ant type things are already sort of pulling it apart. And you can even see it kind of twitching, almost like it's one of those sped up cameras where you see the animal decompose. Yeah.
Can we do?
This isn't a horror game.
Yeah. We will make it one by God. We will. Can we take a quick break? I have to pee.
Cool.
All right.
I guess just for the sake of kind of wrapping that, I'll clean my blade, just give it kind of a one. Actually, wait, I'm wearing nice robes.
Whoops.
I'll go like this to summon for a towel or something to clean the blade from one of the others, and as I'm cleaning it, point out that the lizards did not cross the line, and also turn to Wakioda with a nod of approval for that finishing strike, for listening to me. That I commanded him to do so, and he did, and that he was successful. So that double there. So excellent work, Wakioda. I see that you have trained yourself as I resheathe my great sword with a real firm, lock into place.
As she comes over, I'll just say, this is, I just point to the carcass in front of me being eaten from the inside out and say, this is what all the scales and armor will get you. This is what walls will do. Nature comes.
My eyes will kind of just glaze over, and that glimmer of respect is just kind of lost immediately. And then I'll say, well, I guess I'm protecting you for some reasons, not for others, and walk back to my horse. And I don't know if there's anything else to be said about that scene. Otherwise, we can, I guess, close it there.
Yeah, no, I dig it. You still have one full day or round left in your bird shape. Are you reverting back, or are you going to keep it for another day?
No, she's gonna revert back because I think she's gonna start to attune with the lizard.
Wait, there were 2 lizards here. There still are 2 lizards.
Yes. One of them just looks like a bloody mess, though.
Cool.
And one of them is
perfect.
a bloody mess.
Perfect. So let's say you have lunch with that group of travelers, and they're all very impressed.
Welcome to Dungeons and Dragons.